Trade four, 7-Eleven, the deuce and the nine. This is a You Asked For It Hoover Hey moment being presented in response to the culture enthusiasts, the people, and the collective's questions in the comments concerning the origins of the Hoover Criminals, who created it, when it was created, and why. After considerable thought and discussion, it was decided that the only way to do this puzzling question some justice is to address the different accounts that exist from numerous individuals involved in the Hoover Criminals' historical mentioning and its inception, which of course is easily corroborated. These accounts are based on the earliest mention in the timeline that first occurred between 1979 and 80, when Hooverlettes like Toddy, Steph Dog, Short Stuff, Plookie, and Lil Tracy, just to name a few, would gather to get their groove on as they did through conversation, music, and just hanging out. The loved ones would play their oldies, R&B, rap, and funk. But funk, around that time, funk was king, people, especially with Hoovers. Songs by Funkadelic, Parliament, The Gap Band, and others were our favorites. Their Hoover story goes something like this. They would play songs and interchange the words and phrases to give a song a more melodic meaning in their circle. It's common, even today, many of us replace a song's lyrics with our own to fit our culture's way of saying something we want to convey to the circle. So when Humpin' by the Gap Band started playing, the cadence stayed the same, but the lyrics were changed to express Hoover's way of saying it. The song goes something like this. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo, catch a humper by his toe. If he's humping, let him go. Eeny, meeny, meeny, miny, mo. All right, now, the Hooverlettes, though, would say instead, eeny, meeny, miny, mo, catch a so-and-so by his toe. If he hollers, let him know. 7-4 Hoover Criminal. And that part that goes, heave, ho, faster, yo, faster, yo. The homegirls would say instead, trays, foes, trays, foes. They gangsta, yo, they gangsta, yo. Their way of implying that the Hoover Crips in their minds were gangster with their shit, man. At this time, we also had a homeboy by the name of Hoover Jam, HIP, homie. You know, he would push up in the 4 apartments on his show bike, bumping his music, or he'd groove up with this big-ass boombox he had, knocking that same cut, humping, reciting the same lyrics the homegirls did. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo, catch a so-and-so by his toe. If he hollers, let him know. 7-4 Hoover Criminal. And when Jam said it, it was something else. It was something to be heard in our circle, you know. But look, keep in mind, Hoover Knights, that was something at that time was said, you know. It wasn't something that was lived in terms of banging it or of being a Hoover criminal. You did? Look, people, this criminal thing have legs that have walked the earth longer than the criminals have been living as adversaries in the minds of those who think criminals is purely a 90s thing. I'm going to share with you 2 legends that are different but are the same about the Hoover criminals' origins in terms of actually banging it. In 1988 and 89, in the Los Angeles County Jail, the Crips in 4800 were moved to the 2000 floor. It was in 2100 when Hawk from 9-4 Hoover, Huron from 7-4 Hoover, both are HIP, and other Hoovers who won't be mentioned but were there, decided to call themselves Hoover Criminals because of the contentious and deadly atmosphere, not just in the module, but on the streets with other Crips. The Hoovers in the module had an incident that resulted in a homeboy being stabbed. The offender who stabbed the homeboy and his set were moved to another location. And other Crip sets not so deeply entrenched in warfare with Hoovers were replaced in 2100. I want to mention that Hawk was also a tier tender at the time, before and after that incident. So he would be on the tiers, sweeping up and down the tiers, reciting KRS-One's hit, Criminal Minded. Criminal minded, you've been blinded. You know how that go. Up and down the tiers, you know. Up and down the tiers, man. It was this song, though, from which the Hoovers in 2100 and 2200 would adopt the criminal moniker under Hoover's umbrella. This new handle, it was different, but it did not nullify the Crip in Hoover Crips. Those individuals still considered themselves as Crips, although they were at war with more Crips than they were with Bloods. The Hoover criminal trend, it migrated, man, to the prisons and to the streets from the Crip module in full force, and often in contradiction and conflict with other Hoover Crips. It could be pointed out that some of those who were involved with pushing Hoover criminals, along with Huron and Hawk, would probably rethink the decision they made because of the debate that surrounds the criminal movement today. The second tale of legend pertaining to the Hoover criminals' origins comes from the streets in and about the same year of 1988 and 89. One of Seven Foes' babies, known as Baby S, while active in the streets, realized that the relationship between the Hoover Crips and other Crip factions had deteriorated completely. His shared thoughts with other Hoovers spoke of the contradiction in Crippin relative to Hoover's place amongst Crips. This contradiction, the same description of the conflict that occurred in 2100-2200 Crip module in 1988 and 89, was enough for him to consider an alternative to his Crippin in Hoover's description. The antithesis, by the way, people, antithesis, it means a person or thing that is the direct opposite of someone or something else. So the antithesis in relationship to Hoover's and other Crip factions was as detrimental to Crippin and to Hoover as oil is to water. Baby S, also an admirer of KRS-One, his head criminal-minded, decided to call himself a Hoover criminal. And this declaration, he not only made visible on walls throughout the community, but also made it clear in his speech to the community. When approached by other Hoovers about this, he explained how illogical claiming to be a Crip was, when all of Hoover's wars at that time were against more than half the major Crip factions that existed. This should explain the reasoning behind the decisions some Hoovers made to carry the criminal mantle over Crip. This is evident in how rapidly the collective conscience up and down Hoover Street reacted to and embraced the formation of the newly formed criminals. For some of you, we know that this view into the minds of some Hoovers would not be enough to mitigate your outrage. However, this is the account put before you for acceptance or not. This, you asked for at Hoover Hey moment, is about done. You know, we're going to have to cut it short. I'm going to say this for the record then right quick. Under the Groove appreciates the questions in the comments, people. We really do. But be advised that some of those questions asked will go unaddressed because it is our stance that Under the Groove will stick to Hoover's origins and history over issues of conflict or disrespect towards anyone. That said, say what you want about Hoover's claiming the mantles of Crip and criminal. That reality is no doubt still a fact. It's that most Crip factions war amongst themselves more than anyone else. And my making that statement right now does not advocate violence of any kind against anyone. That statement is made to have those who think to think more wisely about what's going on. Consider the question that Hawk, Huron, Baby S, and others have asked. What sense does this make? Represent Crip, but be hated by Crips. Be killed by Crips. Have to kill Crips to claim Crip. It makes no sense. It's all senseless violence. Listen, people, surely I can hit y'all with all kinds of rational approaches to any side of the matter in question. However, hitting you with approaches to a question is not the same as hitting you with viable solutions to the issues. What's the solution? Let's try some communication first. Let's start with communication. As I've said in the past, man, Under the Groove is not that site. It's not that page. And it's not that channel that's with the norm or with the bullshit. Our objective, our goal is way bigger than most of y'all realize or want to accept at this point. You may not get on board now, but if you're stumped down and solid, you will. No disrespect to anyone, but man, like Hoover, the collective, the mindset, the phenomenon, we aren't going anywhere anytime soon. We're going to change the internet world, and we're going to do it hopefully with your participation. All right? Continue to like, follow, share, comment, and definitely hit that subscribe and notification button. Peace to a solid and power to the stomp down. You have been, you are, and you will be Under the Groove. H's.